Hi everybody. So even though it's late, a I had a thought that came in that I thought would be a perfect precious paradox, considering I haven't done a precious paradox video in a little while. The inspiration hit me and I was like, that's a good one. It's a really good one. So this particular precious paradox is about the things we leave unsaid. And what I mean by that is I always think it's interesting when I hear people talk about loved ones who have passed on. They always have these very honest and raw emotions and perspectives of those people. And isn't it funny that we have become accustomed to not saying those things to that person until we don't have that option anymore? That we are more comfortable bearing our souls to other people about a particular person instead of finding the beautiful moment and sharing all of that with the person that we feel that way about. What a paradox, right? So, I mean, really, that's the extent of it. Is what would it take for us to say the things to people in our lives to them and share that moment with them and be able to communicate that with them instead of just saying it at their eulogy? What would it take? What about sharing our feelings with each other is so terrifying and makes us feel so uncomfortable that we have to wait until there's no other, that we can't say it directly to them, so it's okay to say it now. What kind of wonderful experiences are we holding ourselves back from being able to experience? And how healing can that experience be, that if we were to say all those wonderful things about the people in our lives, that, you know, instead of waiting for our parents to be gone to tell them how much we appreciate them and how great that they've been, and be honest about, I had to process through a lot of things in my life, but I also grew because of you. I did so much and I accomplished so much, and you impacted me in so many wonderful ways that I could never thank you. Why is it we can't say that to them? Our friends, that, even if we get to a point where, life takes over and people drift apart and, we aren't as much of each other's lives as maybe we were at one point, but we also end up, if something unexpected happens, how much regret or guilt do we end up having to sit with? Because, well, gosh, I thought about them and I should have maybe reached out more, or, you had a grudge against somebody, or you had, there was bad blood between the way everything was left, and you kind of just let that sit there, and then they're gone for whatever reason. Why is it that we cannot bring ourselves to be vulnerable and reconcile relationships with people while we have the opportunity to do that with each other? What would it take for us to set aside that fear of how a person can react, what they're going to say, that you're going to bare your soul and it's not going to be received? Well, sure, there's a risk in that. There's a risk in a lot of things. But the opportunity, because regardless of whether the other person receives it, how much healing is that for you to be able to say, look, things didn't get left on a good note, and it's impacted me, and I just want you to know that I appreciate you, and I want you to know that I value the memories that I have, and that anything that I did that hurt you or impacted you in a negative way, I want to apologize for that. I want to own that and just know that I'm a different person, and I hope you can forgive me. And being able to just say that there's so much healing that comes from that, regardless of what sort of response or reaction you get. You know, going out of our way to appreciate other people, even if it's maybe perceived as weird or random or whatever. It's like this because it's not even about the other person. It's about you, and you getting a sense of closure and a sense of healing by putting that out there, because there's a sense of, there's a heaviness that weighs on our hearts about things like that. But yeah. So the precious paradox is, don't leave things unsaid. Say the things that you need to say to the people that you need to say them to, especially when it comes down to all the good stuff, all the good feelings. Regardless if a relationship was, left in bad terms, and then you just kind of like, oh, well, they're not going to want to talk to me. They're going to be mad at me. I'm not going to reach out to them because I'll look like an idiot. No. Control, Alt, delete, all that bullshit. Take the chance. If it would make you feel better to acknowledge that this doesn't feel good for me to know that that's how we left things, I want to apologize for my contribution to it, and I want to tell you that I love you and I appreciate you, and I hope you're doing well. And I think in a lot of ways that we worry about the negative responses that we could get from those sorts of interactions, I think there's a way more opportunity for there to be pleasantly surprised feelings of, wow, they actually felt the same way. And they said a lot of things that I really needed to hear from them. Because thinking about it also, how good would it feel for somebody to just come up to you for no reason and say, you know what, you are such a great person. You are so helpful. You're so thoughtful. You always just have the right words to say that you can help bring somebody out of a bad mood. You always give off this supportive energy. Like, how great would it be How good would it feel for you to be told directly that you are appreciated for just being you and you doing the things that you do? And maybe if we get into the habit of doing those things for others, that it will create a ripple effect that can then be rippled back to us, and that we can be open to receive it because we're willing to give it. So, yeah. Feels full circle. So there you have it. Precious paradox. The things we leave unsaid and why to not leave them unsaid. Thanks, guys.